mode.
Broadcast has started.
Yeah.
There you go.
Are we live streaming are we publicly live streamed?
I believe so. David, can you confirm that, please?
We are.
Okay. With that, let me, as my first act, call the meeting of the State Board of Elections to order. I would note for any public who are watching this that we did have a technical issue in the live stream. It's obviously been corrected, and there was no business in the meeting had not been called to order prior to. At this time, I can visually determine that there are 5 members present, and I'm grateful for sharing that we have a quorum.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if I may, just a correction. I'm looking at the SB website and on our meetings, there's Thursday, September 24th, 2 p.m., agenda, notice of action. And then Thursday, October 8th, 2 p.m., live streaming. So I'm not sure what the public's looking at. Nikki, do you see the same thing I do?
I do. I see the link to live streaming above October 8th.
Oh, okay. Mine's below October 8th. So
Oh, that's weird.
fine.
Okay, it's above it for me.
Okay.
We think we're good.
Now it's above it. It just changed. Mine. Thank you.
Okay. The meeting today, I've tried to keep this, and I've mentioned in our last meeting, and we're trying to make this as brief a meeting as possible, but covering all the materials that we have to cover. The administrator's report is published, this document, and the administrator will simply present it as highlights. A board member having a question about any part of the report, however, is more than welcome to raise whatever. The Assistant Attorney General's report, same thing. Any highlights, and the report is published and it is available. So, are there any additions to the agenda that anyone wishes to raise? I will note that item number 5, well, was at one point item number 5 on the agenda, approval of regulations, that's now been deleted. We will not be addressing that issue. And I think those are the sort of administrative announcements at this point. So hearing no additions to the agenda, next item on the agenda is the administrator's report. Nikki, are you going to cover that one?
Sure, I can. So I believe that we will just focus primarily on the general election preparation, which starts at the bottom of the first page, and work through that and then answer whatever additional questions that you would like on those or other topics.
Okay.
Does that work for you? So Donna or Mary, would you like to do the call center?
Certainly. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mary Wagner. So just to let you know, the call center is operational 6 days a week, currently from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. As of the 21st, they have assisted with over 15,000 calls. Currently, 18 boards and SBE are participating. When the call volume is very high, voters can leave a message and the call center representatives return the call as quickly as they can. In addition to taking and returning calls, the call center is mailing mail-in ballot applications and voter registration applications and will soon be assisting with responding to emails that SBE gets at our various public email addresses. Any questions on that?
I have a question, Mr. Chair, if I could. How many people do you have working in the call center answering calls?
Certainly, we have approximately just under 20, I think it's like 24, 25 operators. They have deferred this call center is the state contract, and they handle more than 14 state agencies, and they have taken from other state agencies to facilitate the call center. As you can imagine, just like election judges, sometimes it's hard to recruit, but they're doing a yeoman's job, and they have the capacity, the space capacity to practice social distancing, and they are also have the ability to telework. So they're continually hiring people.
And what are the other boards that are not utilizing this service? Are they just trying to man, like you said, there's 18 of our, I guess, 24 jurisdictions?
That is correct. They feel comfortable taking their calls on their own.
Anything further on that?
Thank you.
Okay, next item.
So then, Nikki, if it's okay with you, I will move into the data processing center. So this past Monday on the 21st, we opened the data processing center at the Motor Vehicle Administration, the headquarters in Glen Burnie, with 25 individuals. And this center will help processing the large volume of requests for mail-in ballots and voter registration applications received by the local boards, and will continue through October 20th, the deadline to request a mail-in ballot. And I really just want to give a huge, huge shout out to MBA's administrator, Christine Nizer, and her team for providing the space, the IT support, Fred and Nakia on SBE for working through the technical issues to get the MD voters application up and running. A big thank you to David Garris, President of Mayo and Deputy Director of Anne Arundel County Board of Elections, and Allison McLaughlin, Deputy Director for Montgomery County Board of Elections, for their support and continued collaboration, and all the local boards who will provide subject matter experts to support the training and supervision in the coming weeks. Lastly, but certainly not least, thank you to the SBE team of Shelley, Charmaine, Christina, Lisa, working with the Department of Budget and Management to bring on the personnel to do the processing. Thank you to Janet Smith and Shakia for assigning privileges. Thank you, Janet, for providing the initial training. Jillian and Nakia for assigning the tokens needed to get into MD voters. This truly has been a collaborative effort, and somebody added, and thank you for somebody adding this for me leading the team. So I didn't put that in there, but somebody is thanking me, and thank you for thanking me. So that's all I have. Are there any questions on the data set?
So I know we're only a few days in, but how many applications are we able to process with 25 people per day, or how are you figuring that, Mayor?
Let me pull that up real quick, Bill. No, that's not the right one. Nikki, do you have access to that? I'm sorry.
Yes, so I believe that yesterday, which was the first full day, really, of sort of fully trained and in, they processed something like almost 5,000 applications. So I think the thought is they, they're going to get better the longer that they do it. And so they did about 5,000. Malcolm, could I ask you to mute your line, please?
Oh, sure.
So that works out, Nikki, if I could, Mr. Chair, to 200 right now, just first day. I realize it's first day, 200 per person. Is there a target to how many they should be able to do per person?
Bill, this is Mary Wagner again. I don't know if we can measure that right now.
Okay.
Again, these individuals are still learning. Keep in mind that SDE voter registration team is processing as well as, and the supervisors that they have there in their quiet moments, which Monday was not so quiet, but in their quiet moments, they do have the ability to process. So it's not lost time where they're just sitting there and holding hands. So again, it's just been a great collaboration, and it's been a struggle like any new, adventure. But I certainly see the benefit of it.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Mary, one other question. What hours are they working? What's the work schedule for the data center?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Right now it is 8 a.m. to 4:30. I did get an email last night from Mr. Garris. They're looking at hopefully having it available this Saturday. MBA is open. The challenge, I should say, we are facing is everybody needs to have temporary badges for access, because you have to be able to swipe your badge to be able to get to the rooms in which you need to be. So we were hoping to have those badges. Fred has been working diligently with MBA to get those badges. We were hoping to have them Wednesday. We have not yet had them. And we still have to make sure if there's going to be a crew on Saturday. So MBA is very open to extended hours and extended days, but currently it is 8 to 4:30.
Monday through Friday.
Correct.
Okay. But you hope to expand that?
I leave that in the capable hands of Mayo as to whether or not they have the supervision to do so. And then again, MBA requires, and I don't know if Fred's on the line, MBA obviously requires notification. They need IT people on staff, and they were instrumental in standing us up on Monday. And then they need to make sure that they have security, because when you go in, you have a series of questions you need to answer, and you need to have your temperature taken in order to enter the building.
Okay. Anyone else? Questions or comments? Thank you, Mary.
You are more than welcome.
All right.
So
Go ahead.
I was just going to move on to ballot drop-off boxes, if that's okay.
Yep, that's
Okay.
what I was going to move.
All right, so I will. So yeah, we did sneak in a thank you to Mary on the data center. So I'm sorry, Mary, that was a little awkward for you, but wanted to certainly recognize your efforts for pulling that together, as well as Mary's efforts and Whitney's efforts on getting us more ballot drop-off boxes. This is another example of a team effort with Mary and Whitney and Shafiq working with the vendor to order more. So we have ordered 150 more. Well, I think it's 202 actually more. So we'll have a total of state boxes of 277. Some of the counties have a few of their own. So the total number is 282 boxes. And we have 281 locations. Oriole Park at Camden Yards has 2 boxes. So that's why the number looks a little off. We have finalized, or the local boards have finalized, the locations of those drop boxes, and the list of them is posted on our website. They will also be included at the county level with the vote by mail packets, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. So the delivery schedule is a rolling schedule. So starting next week, Some ballot boxes are going to be delivered Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They will be open once they're installed. By Wednesday, every local board office, every early voting center will have a ballot drop-off box. And then there'll be additional locations in the 5 largest counties. And then there'll be a second delivery phase in the middle of October and a third delivery phase that ends on October 24th. So the list that we have on our website does include a column showing when each box is scheduled to be delivered in that 3-day range. And so they're on track to start delivering on Monday. Donna, do you want to talk a little bit about the public awareness campaign?
Sorry, I lost the document. Sorry. Hi, this is Donna Duncan. Included in the meeting material is the response to Senate President Ferguson and Senator Pinsky that requested information on the public education campaign. It's an extensive response. It includes overview of the campaign, an appendix with images that are being used throughout the campaign, TV, radio, print ads, and digital. Also includes the list of media buys, where they are across the state. So in preparation for this election, this team also did an extensive rewrite of our main election page. It has recently been added, of course, the early voting centers and the election day vote centers. And one of, as I mentioned last meeting, one of the, I believe the biggest benefits from this team being on board with us is just coordinating the media inquiries and, of course, helping Nikki and Linda with coordinating interviews, schedules, that type of thing. So they've just been invaluable, I believe, in this effort. We could not have done this without them. So big thanks.
Okay. Any questions about public awareness? Okay. I want to go back to the drop boxes briefly. Nikki, on the drop boxes, are we on the schedule in terms of delivery dates and so on, the schedule that we had set up?
Yes, we are.
Okay. I think one other thing that I wanted to make a comment on, just from a variety of the things that I've seen passing across my virtual desk, and this is really, this is more for the public than it is, you know, for people within the elections community. We're now in a situation where plans have been laid, contracts have been let, and it's not to say that we don't have a plan B or even a plan C for any given scenario, but we're now in a situation where we're moving through and it's a narrowing focus. And you can't make changes unless they are ones you've anticipated or they're truly dramatic requirements. For example, today we're going to talk with Wicomico County about certain approval requests. We anticipated that we would have such requests. This was something that had been discussed now for weeks and thought of before that. But there are other things that I think people sometimes don't, and I'm not singling out any particular individuals or anything else. But as a general rule, one of the useful metaphors that I've used in my thinking about this is, and I borrowed it from someone else, is that you think of have a train, and the train has a starting point, a loading point, and it's got a final destination, and that final destination has a hard deadline to be there. And the train's loaded back at its point of origin. And you're standing somewhere at a platform between these 2 points. You can see the train, you can see how it's loaded, but what you don't have the ability to do anymore is to put more things on or take things off or change the loading plan. Because that train has to be at its destination. And there's just a point after which you can't make changes on things. We have, sometimes in some of the things we do, we have numbers of things that have been ordered. Those things are ordered for specific requests, for specific locations. We don't have a lot of things hanging around. We didn't have drop boxes at all until this election. So we don't have an ability to change things around. Now, local boards still have that ability. They can internally make certain changes if they desire. But that's even becoming hard for them because now things are getting published. So my point to people is, we're now entering a phase that we've been focused on for half a year. And that phase is the election period. And our options to do things differently are rapidly dwindling, they're narrowing. And in fact, in some instances, there is no more option to do things differently. We have to continue on the route that we're on, barring some sort of catastrophe. So I would just remind people who are outside the elections community and they're looking at what we're doing, that when you want us to do something different, you really need to think about where the train is at this point. Are we still at a point where we can change that load plan or add things or take things off? And for the most part, the answer is going to be no. We're now down, I think, 39 days. And that's, in terms of planning and running something like this, and I give credit to the administration and the local boards for this. The 5 members of the state board, sterling individuals that they are, it's the state administrator and her staff, it's the local boards and their staffs that have planned this, worked this, pulled this together. And we're now all reaching a point where all that can be done is execute the plan. So we're all on it. We're all looking at it. And we believe that we have a plan that will work, and we have confidence in our people. So when you start thinking you want us to do something different, I would ask you to think back to my comments before you make that request. So with that, and I happen to use that topic as a point of discussion. Other items, printer.
Right, so lots of ballots being printed. So the ballots for in-person voting are in progress. They've started to do deliveries and will be wrapping up early in October. There have been a supplemental order by Wicomico to accommodate their request for additional vote centers. And so they're printing something almost like 20 million ballot sheets for this election, which is just, I think it's 10 times more than we're used to. So they are busy printing away and delivering as they get done, and everything there is on track to deliver in time. And then printing of ballot packets, right? So we just talked about the printing of ballots for in-person voting. And now, of course, another big print job that's going on right now is the printing of ballot packets. So these are packets for voters who ask to get a ballot in the mail. And so I'm happy to report that we met the MOVE Act requirement. So we got our ballots out to requesting military and overseas voters by last week's deadline. And now everything is turning to getting ballot packets out for what we call domestic civilian voters, which is all the rest of us that aren't the military and overseas. And so I'm pleased to say that the first shipment of ballot packets is going out today. And over the next 5 days, there'll be about 800,000 ballot packets that are shipped. We start providing the mail house with daily files on Monday, and then it just becomes a continuous effort of sending mail files and ballot packets getting shipped. Excuse me. So that is on schedule to have the first 2 big files be out in the next 5 days, and then we transition to daily files. There'll be smaller amounts, obviously, but getting them out. And then this morning, we sent out the first set of emails to domestic voters who requested a ballot via web delivery. And so that process is in place, and we will be continuing to sending those out. I think we sent out close to 100,000 ballots this morning, or emails this morning with links to ballots. And we are using the same email template and same email distribution process that we've been using for many years now. It's a standard header, so voters who are used to getting ballots from us by email are familiar with that. And the email address is a little different. It's not a maryland.gov in light of the mass email restrictions we have on our maryland.gov account, but it's a marylandelections.us account. And that's the same kind of email address we've been using for years. We have more of them now because of the volume of emails that we're sending out, not just web delivery, but other emails that we're sending out. And so voters who have requested a web delivery are starting to get those as well.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to interrupt Nikki, but I want to highlight a point. When she made the point about the first batch of mail or of ballot packets being shipped out, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nikki, the printer is shipping all of those to Maryland and then putting them in the U.S. Postal mail stream in Maryland. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
I think that's wonderful. I think that, the quicker it can get into the mail stream in Maryland, the better off we all are, and the quicker people will get them. I mean, that's something at the June 2nd primary that we had to finesse at the last minute. I'll leave it at that.
Right, that was one of the recommendations in the June 2nd election report. And one of the next steps was to try to see if we could get the ballots entering the mail stream locally. And the vendor that we are using is able to do that. So to your point, Mr. Vice Chairman, the company is shipping the ballot packets to Maryland and then entering the United States Postal System at a local facility in Maryland. There are several facilities. They're getting them where they need to go so they can enter more quickly. And we don't have the transit time of the postal system. We have the shipping company. So we'll be monitoring the tracking. We'll be monitoring the delivery time of these ballots and should have more to report to you at the next meeting.
Anyone else? Nikki, are we on schedule, the schedule that we had set up? Are we on schedule with the printer?
Yeah, today was to be the first ship date, and that is the first ship date. And we're just ready to start doing it almost daily now.
Okay.
I have a quick question, Mr. Chair, if I could. I know that, the Maryland elections email that we're using, completely understand the why. But I think are we starting to use generate new emails, the from emails with numbers in them? And that could eventually be a problem for spoofing and things like that. Or have we thought through how to control that?
Well, we create them numerically so that we can manage which emails are being sent from which account. We've always had that.
Okay.
It's been our way to manage the email distribution. We have more this time again because we're distributing more emails than we've distributed before. Again, not just because of web delivery, but because we started to push out notices to voters, hey, we've received your application. And so as we push out more emails, we need more accounts to manage that. This is definitely an area where we want to look to change for the future. But again, many of our voters have already marked those as safe emails for them. And so they're expecting them to come, and to change midstream like this just introduces different risks. And so we are looking for better solutions for the next election, but are managing what we have now based on how we've structured the emails and the measures that we have in place to manage them.
Okay, so when each person gets their email, the numerical email that they would add to their safe list or contact list or whatever would be presented to them in that correspondence from us. Is that correct? The exact email?
It's not going to say you're going to get this email from this address. It's the sequence of the address is similar, just increments by one, depending on, I can't tell you how all of the emails are allocated to each email account. It's my understanding it's quite an impressive spreadsheet, but the suffix of the email is the same for all of them. And the beginning is the same. It's just the numeric increment that's different.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone have any other questions? Comments? Okay. Any other highlights you want to bring up, Nikki or Linda?
I believe that those are the ones that we've been talking about in our regular meetings. Again, there's a full administrator's report. We are happy to answer any questions, or if you'd like us to cover any particular topic, we are happy to do that.
Okay. All right. With that, we'll move, seeing no questions, we'll move to item number 4, the Assistant Attorney General's report. Andrea?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. I have a very short update this week. Really the only meaningful update on the litigation front since we last had this presentation of an update is in the Chong-Soo Yi matter. It's number 5 on the report that was circulated. Mr. Yi had filed a motion to reconsider the court's dismissal of his cases against Governor Hogan and the Board of Elections last month. That motion has now been denied. And so that's where that case currently stands. Otherwise, there have not been meaningful updates in the other matters, like I said.
Okay. Anyone have any questions regarding this? Hang on. Okay. The next item on the agenda then, any questions for the Assistant Attorney General? Next item on the agenda, approval of regulations, as I indicated, is deleted from the agenda. And that leaves us with the next item, November 3rd election discussions. If anyone has anything they wanted to bring up, this would be the time to do it. I think we hit some of the high points already on this. And so Nikki, I think you must be getting ready to show us Wicomico because your emails come up.
I'm trying to, but I lost my map.
I know it sort of drifted off to the right of the screen there. Does anyone have anything they want to raise in terms of members' remarks? Any issues that we haven't already addressed or aren't obviously going to address? Okay. You ready, Nikki?
I have found my map.
Okay. Okay, we'll move to Wicomico County then. Approval of voting centers and BMDs. One street.
Okay, so can you see the map?
I can.
Okay,
I'm seeing
so
that.
I thought that there was going to be someone from Wicomico on the call, but I don't think that there is. But so I'll do my best. So this is an updated map to reflect 2 additional requested election day voting locations. So the one is this Willards Elementary School over here on the east side, and then one is this west side immediate school, which the star is right here. So it's sort of between these 2 circles. So they're asking to add those 2. It does increase their percentage of number of voters who reside. I'm sorry, I have that on the other screen, so I'm struggling here a little bit. But they've asked to add 2 additional election day vote centers, which takes them to a total of 9 election day vote centers.
Okay.
Is there anybody from Wicomico on the call, David? Do you know?
No, there isn't.
Okay, all right.
All right, do any of the board members have a question about the Wicomico scheme as it's presented to us here?
Just so it takes them to 9 election day centers, but there's still 1 early voting center, right?
That's correct. Believe it is at their Wicomico Civic Center is their early voting center.
And they are receiving 4 drop boxes.
Oh, I don't have that handy.
Oh, no, that's fine. I looked at it. I mean, that's what the chart showed. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Mr. Chair, this is Bill. I can't imagine a reason why I would not personally support increasing voter locations at this time. So I would come out in support of this, adding to Election Day. And I know we also have letters in support. I think I've seen them in our packet.
That's true. We have, at least from the delegate representing that area that I saw most recently.
And when I talked to Anthony about this proposal, he confirmed that he has enough election judges to staff to do 2 additional locations and was comfortable with being able to do that.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Nikki. With that, does anyone else have any other questions or comments about Wicomico? And they're asking for BMDs as well. Nikki, you're muted.
Sorry about that. They are asking to have 5 BMDs at their early voting center and 4 BMDs at each of their election day vote centers. I think you have that request, but that's a request to go above the general deployment.
Does anyone have any questions or comments about that request? Okay, hearing none. And anticipating the board's position, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the Wicomico County request for election day vote centers and their request to add marking devices in the number stated in their request. May I have such a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Item to approve. Okay, next item. Is Jared still on? There he is. Okay. I believe the next item is approval of late fee waivers.
Yes, so in front of you is a packet of, to approve 6 waivers. And then there was 5 denials in this as well for your edification. But if you have any questions about the 6 waivers that we recommend granting, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Anyone have any questions or comments? Hearing none, then the chair would entertain a motion to approve the late fee waivers as set out in the documents that we provided by staff. May I have such a motion?
So moved.
So move. Second.
And seconded. All those in favor, aye? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? None? Motion carries. And late fee waivers are approved. Jared, I believe you also have Title 14 late fee waivers in for the board's review, correct?
Those were just denials, just for you to, for your, once again, your information. There was no grants for this month for Title 14. Just 2 denials.
Okay, anyone have any questions or comments about those denials? All right. Next item on the agenda is old business. Does anyone have any old business to raise? Hearing none. Next item is new business. Does anyone have any new business? Hearing none. Next item is disclosure of campaign contributions. Does anyone have any contributions to disclose? Okay, I have some to catch up. Nikki has a written list, so I'm going to go through this fast. I don't have to worry about her having to write it down. McConnell for Senate, $174. McSally for Senate, $85. Scott for Senate, $75. James for Senate, $25. Ernst for Senate, $75. Graham for Senate, $50. Harris for Congress, $100. McCarthy for Congress, $50. Crenshaw for Congress, $50. Nunes for Congress, $50. Nunes and Trump campaigns together, $50. The Trump for President, $200. The National Republican Committee, $300. National Republican Senatorial Committee, $235. National Republican Campaign Committee, $50. And the Republican State Leadership Committee, $50. I believe that's all of them.
Before we go on to the next item, I just got an email from Anthony, well, 5 minutes ago, saying that he needed to be unmuted. I don't know if he's still there or still has anything to say. We've moved on, but
We're happy to hear from him.
David, can you see if Anthony is still on the line?
Yeah, he wasn't ever called in on the system for us to unmute them. So we can't unmute him because he hasn't called in via the system.
Okay, well, I guess that solves that.
Okay, next item on the agenda. Confirm next meeting. We have a meeting set for 2 p.m. on October the 8th, which is a Thursday. So 2 p.m. Thursday, October the 8th. That will be our October meeting. Good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. That should be it. The board meetings before the election. Is there any problem with that that's risen since we set the meeting date? No. Okay. Next item. We need to have a closed session for legal. The board will now consider whether to meet in closed session to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice and consult with staff on potential or pending litigation as permitted by section 3305B7 and 8 of the general provisions article. Meeting in closed session would allow the members of the board to seek and obtain legal advice with board counsel without waiver of the attorney-client privilege. May I have a motion to meet in closed session?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? None. The motion having passed, the board will meet in closed session in accordance with exemptions B7 and 8 of section 3305 of the Open Meetings Act. This is the last item on the agenda, with the exception of actual adjournment. And for those who are listening in, the board will adjourn the meeting closed session. We will adjourn the open meeting. We will not be returning to the open meeting following the closed session. So for open meeting purposes, this would be the end of the open meeting. With that, here we entertain a motion to adjourn the open meeting and reconvene in closed session. May I have such a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Aye.
The, what I propose, looking at, which is it, let's reconvene at 3 p.m. in closed session. About 8 minutes, a little bit of a break. And with that, this open meeting is adjourned.